I think like the idea of short form social media, like before, like YouTube, like after YouTube and everything came out, like where you kind of like were sitting there scrolling, watching up to like a minute long videos and stuff, was probably one of honestly the worst inventions for humankind ever. Obviously I use it and everything even to this day, but I have to sit here and say the days that I don't honestly use it, I can definitely tell you this right now. I'm a lot more just in general, I guess, in a better mood. I don't know like if that's the correct word for it. It's more like my mind just feels like more clear, and I honestly feel as if like I can focus a lot more on these different things that normally I'm not able to focus on and stuff like that. And normally I don't use it mainly just because I'm outside, so maybe outside also has something to do with it. But like the main thing I'm sitting here and like just trying to, I guess, say is well, like we're getting to the main point of the video now, is that short form social media has basically taken a society of once great people. I have to sit here and say, and honestly, just a great species in general, and is kind of sort of turning us into this, I guess, dead species, I guess you kind of say. Because at one point, humans were sitting there looking at things and be like, why? Why does it happen like that? But then you see like kids nowadays online that are like 1, 2 years old scrolling on their phones. And I remember like obviously I was a little bit older at the time, but like the age of 4, I was on a computer. But I understand that that was kind of bad, but at the same time, because of me learning stuff like about a computer at that time, obviously I wasn't learning much about stuff about a computer, but I was learning how a computer worked more than anything at that young age. And I think that's a good thing to maybe teach your kids some things about how a computer works, maybe teach them some things about it. But don't give them unrestricted access. Like I see like most like watching Cocomelon all day and stuff, that's bad. My parents never let me do that. I was on the computer maybe like an hour at most, maybe 2 hours a week. It was mainly watching some form of YouTube for like some time and then also looking into history at that time also. So I was also kind of just a history nerd at that time also because I was also learning about history and stuff. But basically from that, what I'm just kind of saying, I'm trying to point out is it's kind of turned a species of people into dead people in the sense of like curiosity, things like that starting to go away, mainly because I think like your dopamine receptors and stuff like that in your brain just kind of realizes that there's an easier path to dopamine now than trying to figure out stuff, trying to understand something, stuff like that. And maybe if you're really interested in the thing, you will want to know more. But that's something that even I have nowadays. Is that even if I'm not interested in the subject, I still wish to know more about it, even maybe not because it's not interesting or nothing, but it could be useful one day in my life. Like obviously, like history, not useful at all. Like I have a question though. Well, why do like if it's not so like useful? Why do so many people believe certain things are impossible whenever so many people in history have done these things? Like no offense or nothing, so many people see it as this impossibility to I don't know. Like, what's something like the pyramids? People always believe that the pyramids are like this impossible thing that the Egyptians built, which I get it. It's a big thing and everything. But once again, look at like how humans were at that time comparably to now. Realize how much more like they were working all day. They had nothing else to do. Like nothing else. They needed to get things done. They needed food. They needed building things done. And I get with why that seems so impossible in today's society with like all this stuff. But if you were really honestly truly dedicated to building something for what who you would honestly have truly perceived as a god, because the pharaohs were seen as the gods coming down in human form, I kind of get like where you could build that stuff, right? And I just have to sit here and say you need to be more curious. You need to get off your phone more than anything, and you need to go and just look at different things, or maybe be on your phone, but learn stuff. Stop just feeding your brain nothing. Learn different things. Because to be honest, whenever you start looking at like history, science, just different things like that, things that are even philosophy, anything, man. I had to give a lot of credit to Joe Bartolozzi on that one. That's the only person that actually got me into philosophy. It's the only reason I even started looking into it in the first place. But the whole thing behind what I'm trying to point out is there's so much more value into these things for your brain, for yourself in general, that you should go off and just basically try to learn every last thing that you can. Learn every little bit that you possibly ever could ever learn. The main reason I'm sitting here saying that isn't because, knowledge is valuable or whatever, which it kind of is. But what I'm honestly trying to say here and basically point out to you is knowledge is going to be the thing that you're able to recognize the trueness of humans and what humans are truly capable of in understanding. And I think more from that, you're able to achieve your goals maybe more. You're maybe more motivated to do things because you see what humans are truly capable of. And obviously, if you sit there and think humans are only capable of these very small, menial tasks, I mean, dude, there was a 16-year-old who conquered the goddamn whole world named Alexander the Great. I think he ended up whenever he was like 23, I think. Maybe a little bit 10 years after. I don't know. I think it was 23 whenever he stopped his conquering. But like that stuff, like people always sit there and say it's impossible for like people to kids also to do things like that. Yet, dude, most people were young doing the things that they made them great back in the day. No offense to like, I know Napoleon was a bit older, but Napoleon started out whenever he was 18. Actually, more of like whenever he was about 12, learning different things about just history, generals, becoming fascinated with these people, really brought him to this idea that he could do that, and that's really what brought him to his greatness that we see him in today. So, like, obviously, a lot of people don't sit there and say Napoleon's great, but you can't really deny the idea that he has some type of greatness to him, because name how many men could have done at that time what he did in his time. But yeah, just kind of my 2 cents. You should really get off of like short form media, basically, and you should really honestly just start looking into different things about philosophy, going outside, just stuff like that, maybe sciences, history, stuff like that.